All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Bass Kayak and Beers podcast on the Paddle and Fin Network. Glad to be back. I missed last week. I was fishing the Hobie BOS. I didn't have time to record. Actually, the guest that I have today, Cody Henley, who won the 10 Invitational, I was trying to get him scheduled for last week's show, but he's been busy fishing. I forgot to speak English for a second. He's been busy fishing for the last couple of weeks. The 10 KBF fishing the Bass Nation Kayak Series or Bassmaster Kayak Series. Now, just when I'm used to now saying Bass Nation Kayak Series, they change it to Bassmaster Kayak Series, of course. So it'll take me a while to get it back to what I used to say it. But and then the Hobie BOS. So this guy's been pretty busy, um, and he's won a ton of money. And we're gonna talk now about the 10, which is what I originally wanted to bring him for. If you want to listen to what he did on the Hobie BOS, go check out last week's episode where I was a guest host um, with Dan Perry, and we talked to the top two on the Hobie BOS in Toledo Bend, which was Rolando Nandin and Cody Henley, my guest for today. So before we get into Cody Henley, just a brief recap of my weekend. As most of you know, I fished the Hobie BOS at Toledo Bend. I had an amazing time. It was my first time fishing a Hobie event. I am super impressed with what AJ has done with the Hobie BOS as a tournament director and the organization as it pertains to organizing tournaments. It was the first live captain meetings since COVID started, so it was sold out, 200 anglers. Um, Great food, great communication from AJ. I'm one of those guys where I got used to doing the online captains meetings on Facebook, so I didn't really pay much attention other than what's the code that I have to put on my tag for the pictures. So, and that really is a mistake. Please don't follow that. My advice, not my advice. Don't follow my lead on that. Always listen to your captain's meeting, whether it's virtual or in live. So this was my first in live captain meeting for a national event. Um, no, sorry, that's not true. I did the live captain's meeting for the KBF Trail in Tornado River last year. But anyways, very impressed with what was said. The emphasis on taking care of each other and safety and going over the rules. A lot of stuff. It was a lot longer than I expected, but it didn't bother me at all. Um, Great use of time, great food. It was great catching up with everybody. It was great talking to people that I've had on my podcast that I never met face to face. So I was very happy for that. Anyways, as far as the tournament goes, day one was horrible for me. My spot was really blown out. What can I say? No excuses, but I really was not able to fish to my strength. Got into a creek, deep into a creek to escape the wind. Found a fish. Thought I was gonna find more, but then I ran into some um, Texas/Louisiana gators and made a business decision. Decided I'd rather face the wind than face a gator. So, anyways, that was day one. Day two, it was sunny, cold, but not as windy, and I spent most of the day fishing docks, flipping on docks. Got two on docks, and then I got one on a square bill, banging it against some offshore rocky points. But that was it. I really wanted to fish day two, even though I only caught one, because my competitive side, I have no quit on me, and I really wanted to, you know, keep testing myself and improving myself. Part of me just wanted to go home, but part of me just wanted to compete. I will say this, um, and I've learned this from talking to other anglers. If you not have a chance to get in the money on day one, a lot of them like to leave on day two and not fish because they don't want to interrupt what people that are fishing for money on day two or have an actual shot of winning money. You don't want to interrupt what they're doing because really, if you're not going to be in the money no matter what, then what's the point of interrupting or kind of spoiling somebody's spot that really has a chance to make some money or even win the event? I was very considerate in that. There was on my first day, I didn't see anybody fishing my spot. Second day, I switched spots. There was a lot of kayak anglers. I made it a point. If I came across one, I will let her know, hey, listen, I'm not in the money. If you want this spot, have it. I'll leave. and just communications. And that's my advice to you. If you're gonna ever fish a national event or even a local event that's 2 days and you really don't have a shot of bidding in the money, but you still want to fish the second day, be considerate to those anglers that have a shot in winning money. And communication is a big thing. I, for one, maybe could have caught 5 fish. There was about 3 occasions where I actually left the spot and left the spot to somebody that was looking to catch a check. So, anyways, that's my advice to you. Enough about me. Let's go and bring in my next guest, Cody Henley. Before we do that, go check out my sponsor, Douglas Rod. Go to douglasoutdoors.com. Check out their full lineup, LRS, X Matrix, and award-winning fly fishing rods. We'll go to a quick commercial. We'll bring Cody Henley right in. Mr. Cody Henley, how's it going, man?
Pretty good. How are you?
Very good, man. Nice to talk to you today. We just recorded yesterday for the reel down for your second place on the Hobie BOS, and Rolando Nadine was also there. So glad to have you again, man. And again,
I am glad to be here.
Thank you. You've won a ton of money. I'm not gonna say how much because that's none of my business, but you've won a ton of money in the last 2 weeks. How are you feeling? I mean, give us a rundown before we get into the 10. Give us a rundown of the placements you've had over the last 2 weeks between the KBF, the Hobie, and the Bass.
Okay. First tournament trail for me was going down to Kissimmee. Day one of the trail got completely, and we can talk about this more, but got completely blown out of where I wanted to go, and had to go just some random spot that I'd never been, and got lucky and found some fish, found some buck bass, and I caught I think like 79 inches. Took 14th on the day one trail, but obviously the Pro Series, the Invitational was all together, and ended up doing really good on the next day, and actually won that KBF trail. So I took a first there. I came in second on the Pro Series, and I came in second on the Invitational. We had a day off, and the 10 started Tuesday and Wednesday. Day one was sitting in first place on the 10, and then day two, I just finished it off and did really good again, man, and won the 10, left, and on our way to Fork, we were going to have one practice day, and I'd messed with Chad. I called Chad. I'm like, hey, man, when I win the 10, this is like on the drive down. When I win the 10, y'all going to have to interview me afterwards or what? Because I got to go. And he laughed, and I was just messing with him. And he's like, no, you can go wherever you got to go. So we ended up leaving and headed down to Fork. And I wanted to stop and see my grandparents. They're not doing the best. And my mom's there, and I lost my dad when I was 13 in a car wreck. So she's kind of all by herself. She doesn't have anyone there but her parents. So I surprised them and just showed up at their house. Well, that blew our whole pre-fishing day out. So Friday was going to be our day to pre-fish, and we showed up, and I don't want to say we were just like super cocky that we can catch fish. Man, we get out there on day one, and we literally had to break ice to get on the water. I'm like, this is not good. And I just could not find anything over 40 degrees. I tried to turn on my pen optics like we talked about Rolando the other day, and I've just not figured that thing out yet. And I didn't get a single fish on day one. I got completely skunked. Day two, I did a lot more research and looked at a lot more stuff on the map, and just dialed in Google Maps as much as I could, and found some secondary points in the back of on the edge of the main channel, but on the creek. And it worked out. I say it worked out. It really didn't work out. I literally caught 2 fish, but I was throwing a 3/8 ounce jackhammer and pulled up on a spot and caught a 19, turned around and caught another 18 and a half. And then this was day two, and I'm sitting in 30th place out of 150. Started to freak out. I'm like, I can get the money. And I didn't catch a fish the rest of the day. So yeah, I took a 50th or a 60th out of 160 anglers with 2 fish in that tournament, which obviously isn't good, but the people down there crushed them. Holy cow, dude. They got on them fish. Yeah. And then obviously I went to the Hobie BOS, and we were there Tuesday and pre-fished Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And day one sitting in 5th, and then finalized day two, I took 2nd place.
Nice. Congratulations again. I'm
Thanks.
sure you made the wife happy with all those paychecks.
Oh, you have no idea. What do you say, honey? Were you pretty happy with all those checks? She said, yeah,
Makes it easier to spend money on tackle when you do
it
all
definitely
that.
does. It definitely
Well,
does.
it's going before we start the thing. You know what I thought it was interesting is, and I was reference a little bit about, if you're fishing a 2-day tournament, if you get skunk on day one, you don't have a chance of making money on day two. Do you really fish it? Because I know a lot of guys don't fish it. Me, because
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn, I'm gonna take every experience that I have. And second of all, I don't have quit in me. I thought about leaving on day two in Toledo Bend and just going home, but I was like, I can't do it. I couldn't leave with myself, even if I know I'm not gonna win any money. But the Bassmaster Kayak Station in Lake Fork, completely different. You could have skunk on day one and still get a nice check if you get a nice bag on day two. Like it was that crazy. I've
Yeah.
never seen a tournament where you can get
No.
skunk and then the second day, I can still catch a check. You
Yeah.
know,
No, I've never. I mean, like 30th place had 77 inches. That just shows you, like the two fish that I had did catch. I was set up to easily have a 90-inch day. 90 inches would have put me in like 20th place. Not a huge check, but I mean, still in contention. But I'm kind of the same with you, man. If I get and I don't want to jinx myself because I'm probably going to jinx myself. I haven't fished a ton of 2-day tournaments, probably like maybe 10. I've never got skunked on day one, but I think I'd be in the same position as you, man. I really feel like if I was skunked on day one and I'm going to my same spot, I would ask around like, "Hey guys, where are you going to fish?" I'm not going to blow your spot
yeah,
out and catch all these fish and then just ruin it for you. I mean, because I've been in that situation before where people are right in front of me and they didn't even they got 20 inches on day one and we're sitting at 96, 97. It's like, what? And I try not to be rude.
yeah,
Sometimes it gets under my skin a little bit, but for the most part, every kayak angler that I've met, like
mhm.
they're like, "Hey man, I'm not in the money." They'll say that. So I was like, "Dang, dude, you won't see that from no boat guys. I'm sorry to say, but you ain't gonna find that
No.
from no boat guy."
And heck, my spot that I went the first day I had was totally by myself. Probably because nobody was as stupid as I was to go to that spot considering the wind. That's probably the main reason. But day two is like, God, these kayak anglers everywhere, and I really don't want to ruin this for anybody. So all the time, I mean, I left like 3 spots. I even went up, hey man, you in the money? I'm leaving. You can have that spot. By the way, I caught him with this, this, and this. If you want to give it a try, give it a try. If not, hopefully somebody caught it with
That and I
something
think
they
that's a
did.
cool way to be, like,
Yeah.
especially with this. This is my full-time job. Like, this is what I do for a living, so anything where people try to bend the rule or anything like that, I just take it super personal, man. Like, that's hard for me. Like, I'm providing for my wife and not anytime soon, kids, but providing for my family,
Yeah.
so I think that's awesome, man.
True. And again, I don't say it to kind of like lift myself about anybody else. I think that's how everybody should approach it.
Well,
My
you're up there,
opinion.
man. So you're
Hey, if I can be a good angler, at least I can be a good guy on the water.
that's
Right?
right,
Like,
man.
but another thing that I thought interesting is Lake Fork and Toledo Bend are just a couple of hours, probably like 2 hour drive between, probably less.
Yeah.
They're 1 week apart, and the difference in like Toledo Bend was as top heavy as you can possibly be on the tournament. Like the top three, I think are the only ones that caught like full limits on both days, and then you got Toledo Bend, which pretty much everybody and their mother caught a
100,
limit
101 people called a
on the
limit on day one,
first.
and then
Yes,
and
and
then
this
60 called a limit, or it was 60 or 40 called a limit on day two.
yes, and I think in total, like yeah, something like 80. I can't remember, but it was a ton of people that caught
Yeah,
both limits.
huge difference.
And yes, and I would have thought I was talking to Ryan Lambert about it, and Blake Knight. And Blake Knight was saying the same thing, and I was saying I think like it's gonna take 200 inches to win Toledo Bend, and Ryan Lambert was like, nah, it's gonna take 186. It took less than that. It took like
Yeah,
175.
yeah.
It was crazy. Just to
I
think
think,
those two lakes are neighboring lakes at
yeah.
1 week apart and how different they got fished.
I think a big thing that has to do with it in both those places, let's say before both of those cold front came in, all those fish were ready. Their
Yeah.
metabolisms had moved up and half of them had pushed up. And some of them are already sitting on the bank or some of them are going to those staging areas and prepared, like getting there. That cold front came in and just shocked them. And we were in the middle of the shock on fork, right?
Yeah.
So they want to move. I mean, I literally caught that 19 incher in 6 inches of water. 6 inches of water in 44-degree water temperatures.
Mm.
Like that is just shocking to me. But when that cold front left, we had a warming streak going into
Yeah.
Toledo Bend. So for them, like any type of and if they're up shallow, they get to feel that warming so much more. The sun was out all week long, and they're like, "Oh, it's time." And then that cold front came in again, and you saw how that bite dwindled, just
Yeah.
got tough. So I think that played a huge part in it.
Yeah. Changing conditions, especially transition seasons in Texas.
Yep.
What is,
All
you
three
know, yeah.
tournaments that I fished, a cold front hit,
Oh
either
yeah,
the
you got them
day
all
of
because
or
Florida the 10. Yeah.
every one of them. It was, dude, it was
Maybe it's
miserable.
you.
I'm not even gonna pretend like, yeah, dude, my wife said this to me. So I left Florida. I in the or left to go to Florida. It was 78, 80 degrees. I get there, it just dwindled down and got terrible. Left Texas was great. I left there to go there. It just got terrible. Then Louisiana was good, and then tournament day, done. I called my wife on the way home, and she's like, "I think all the ice is melting. I don't think you're going to be able to do any more ice fishing tours when you get home." So I'm like, "No way! There's 15 inches of ice. It's melted." And I get here, and she sends me a picture of the temperature, and it was 52. I rolled up in here. It's snowing.
We should change your name to Jack Frost.
Yeah, man, that's it. That's exactly right.
Well, going back to the 10 man, let's take me through. I know you there was a couple of tournaments in conjunction, but I don't want to with that. But let's focus on the 10. Tell me about the lake. Where was the 10? What lake was it, and how
Okay,
did you feel going into it?
so I'm gonna kind of have to branch off of the previous tournaments because it's a chain of lakes. So you
Okay.
have 9 to 10 different lakes that you can fish. So practice for me was kind of tough. I'm not even gonna lie and say it wasn't. I went to all the small lakes, the sleeper lakes. I always go to those first just because if I do find something, I'll leave them alone and go somewhere else. And dude, on the sleeper lakes, I found a decent bite on East Toho, but I just didn't catch anything big. And so I went to the big lakes. I went to Big Toho. I went to Kissimmee. I got skunked. I caught like one fish and then got skunked. Like it was tough. Like there were huge bodies of water. Luckily, I had my just got my Newport Vessels motor put on. Oh my gosh, dude, that thing is unreal. There's not anywhere that you can't go. You'll hit the reeds full speed and you'll go anywhere that you want. And it helped out so much by covering water. But day one, I'm just going to talk a little bit about day one of the trail. I
Mm.
was actually going to go to Marion, and that's where I caught some really good fish. It's another small lake, and this is where Ken Wood and Russ Snyder's battled it out for the previous year, 10, or maybe
Yep.
the one before that. And kayakers were everywhere. I mean, everywhere. And like I told you last night on out on Finn, I don't do good with people, man, and it's something I have to work on. The winds were kicking, so I just took my chances. The week before, we had scheduled a photo shoot with a videographer with Yak Rods, my company that does so much for me. Literally, the most amazing people in the world. And we had already scheduled it for East Toho, and there wasn't really no going around it. And the boat was already on the water. We everything. Well, that day I caught a 6 pounder and a bunch of little fish, but I'm like, oh, I can catch a limit. So last minute, I decided to go there for the trail and got blown off. And then I ended up going there for day two trail and put up 97 inches. And we took a day break and I went and explored that lake more right before the 10. And I just didn't think it was going to hold up for 2 days. I just didn't think. Not a single person in the 10 house. They were super nice, super cool people. Every one of them were phenomenal. Made really good friends with all of them. Jimmy McClurkin, Russ Snyder's, Cody Milton, Matthew Scotch, all are just absolute hammers, but will straight up tell you what they were using,
Yep.
or how they were catching them. And not a single person was going to East Toho. So it kind of had me a little nervous, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, but that's me. Obviously, we talked about it last night. I freak out. I just freak out, dude. And day one of the 10, I started off in the morning, and that cold front had rolled through the day before. I get on the water, and 2 days before, the water temps were 51 when I got on close to Toledo Bend, like the exact same thing with the Hobie BOS. And I get on the water, and the water temperature is 44 degrees. And those Florida strain, I don't know if you've ever been to
Yep.
Florida strain versus northern strain. Obviously, those are different, but Florida bass are two different species. It's completely different. Like they are finicky fish, and I don't.
Yep.
They do get a lot of pressure too. So day one, I went through and I found this little man-made cut channel that was right behind a set of reeds. Probably shouldn't say. Well, it don't matter. I don't care. Well, there'll be a couple of people out there next year with me too, if we go to the same place. I don't know. And I would run that channel. That channel was only a 2 mile stretch. So the winds were picking up and the winds were moving. So I knew that the fish were active. So what I would do is I would go, and there would be a boat dock channel from someone's backyard, and it would open up into the main lake. So I would stop and pause and throw it all in that channel, but then my channel cut right in the middle of it too. So I would fish. It would always drop down, and they'd always be sitting down in that deep water. And it did really good, man. The tournament ended on that day. They extended it. Chad extended it for us and gave us 1 more hour of pre-fishing. I mean, not pre-fishing, of actual tournament time. And we had 9 hours on the water. And by 2 o'clock, I had 90 inches. And I knew that I had to make a very, very hard decision for me is leaving fish. And I went and explored. I went off and just put my poles up. And at 2 o'clock, I said, hey, I'm in it. I know that I'm in it. I looked at everyone. Everyone had submitted fish, so I knew they had service. And I knew that it was being broadcasted, or live streamed every once in a while. So I knew people wanted to have their name up top. It's like, oh, blah, blah, blah is in the lead, and he's beating them by 4 inches. So I made just a split decision, and I got off the water probably like an hour early, and just said, hey, I hope I saved enough fish for tomorrow. And day one, I was sitting in first place with 90 inches, and then Mike Elsey was right below me with like 88. So it was really a close playing field. It wasn't like I ran off with it. I didn't catch any huge fish. Like I literally caught 19s, 18, 19s, 18. I ran that 2 mile stretch. This is how slow that I fished. I started on the water that morning, and I fished upwards, and I never made it to the end of the 2 mile stretch. I just worked very, very slow and picked every piece of, whether it was hot. It didn't matter, man. If I would find Kissimmee grass, if I would find any hydrillas, it was definitely the key player for me. But if you would see some Kissimmee grass in that middle channel, and then there would be one lily pad, I could 100% call that I would catch a 16 to an 18-inch fish under every lily on day one.
Wow. Crazy. But then, so going into day two, you feel any pressure? Like, let me ask you this: Are you more comfortable sitting on a second, third place spot where you feel like, okay, I got nothing to lose, or is it more pressure for you to fish from the front, and being that you go into day two with a lead going into first place? Because I think I never been into that situation. Hopefully someday I will.
Oh,
But
you
I
will,
never.
man.
How does I would think that when you're in day one, your thought process on day two is like it's mine to win. I don't want to screw it up. How is it for you going from day one to day two, knowing that you're in first place versus being second, third, fourth, fifth place?
Dude, I'll be honest. It was nerve-wracking. Super, super nerve-wracking. That was probably the nervous I'd ever been. Because at the West Coast Championship in California, and at a Hobie BOS, my first ever one on the California Delta, I was sitting in fourth on the Delta in the Hobie BOS. And then I'm pretty sure at the West Coast Championship, I was sitting in like, I want to say 9th or 10th. I was a pretty good ways back there, actually. And I wasn't that bad. I really wasn't that bad. I was just more calm and collective. And the next day I put up a 100-inch bag, and it was the most insane and epic day of my life. But the 10, dude. Ooh, you want to talk about? I don't think I slept that night, man. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't. All I could think about was Chad didn't turn the leaderboard on that night, so he wouldn't let us know where everyone was. So I didn't know if everyone was lying, if I was really that far ahead, or what was going on. And I was nervous, man. It was a lot of pressure going into it. I checked my phone when I got off the water. I take calls but I don't look at my messages to type up anything. I might say reply on my headset, but I don't type anything up. I had over 100 messages between regular iMessages, Instagram, and Facebook. It was well over 100, probably close to 170 actually. And all of them were just saying, "Good job, keep it up. Tomorrow's the day." And it just put so much pressure on me, man. It was super hard. I'm not gonna lie. That was way tougher for me being in first versus being in third, fourth, or fifth.
Nice. So what was your plan on day two?
Day two, I had actually explored a little bit more, and on the practice day that we got off, and I went and explored some. And obviously, I try not to hook fish on the day before ever. Like I learned my lesson. I would always message my wife and be like, I'm on them, cuz," and I'd be holding these 24s and 23, well, more like 20s and 22s, but and I'd never forget, she messaged me back. She's like, "How about you stop catching those fish and actually save them for tournament day?" And I'm like, "That's stupid." And she was right, dude. So I really got honed in on that. So for my chatterbait, what I'll do is I'm not gonna cut a jackhammer or hook off. And I don't like to use other chatterbaits because I know they have a different thump, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's the original projects, whatever.
Yeah.
And what I do is I put a worm. I'll cut the head of a worm off and slide it over the hook. And I usually just fill that bad boy up with as much garlic or crawfish scent that I possibly can, or shad scent. And I'm a firm believer in scent. I mean, firm. And as soon as they smack it, I'll just click my button. You got to be pretty quick with it because you'll still hook some on accident. I'll click my button and they'll just take off running with it. And you can usually tell if it's like, I'm no fish expert by all means. I'd like to say that I am, but you usually can tell, like you can pull back on them a little bit and tell if it's a bigger fish or if it's a small fish. Usually for me, the small fish will just sit there and just kind of flurry around like very, very close spots. If that fish grabs that bad boy and runs with it, that's a big fish, in my opinion. Like I could be completely wrong and someone correct me. But every one of these fish that I was hooking this new spot would just boom, take off running. I'm like, oh, I got another spot. So day two started for me really slow, really slow. Another cold front had came through actually. So the water temps actually stayed the same, but it was bluebird skies. So the barometric pressure was up, like all the fish pressure was just very, very hard. No wind at all. And I'm a firm believer in a chatterbait. You need to have wind. So I started to think, should I throw a wacky rig? Should I start flipping? Because I'd thrown that chatterbait all morning for 2 hours and hadn't got a bite. On day one for me, third cast in, I caught a 16. Maybe like seventh cast in, I caught an 18. So it was really quick. And at this point, I got nervous, man. I got super nervous. I'm like, I went into this with 90 inches, and I can't even catch a fish today. And then Chad called me and was like, "Hey, man, where are you? We're sending a drone out your way. You still out there on East Toho?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm out here." I sent him the pin of where to go, and I was like, "I just want to limit before he gets here." That's literally what I said. I just want to limit before he gets here because then I feel like the pressure of the drones watching
Yeah.
you, the pressure of them, they're palling around trying to video you, like they're gonna spook. I just started to get kind of worried, man. And I was like, okay, I gotta mix something up. Bluebird skies, the fish aren't in my channels, they're hiding. I know they're somewhere undercover, they're getting out of the shade. So I did the same thing Orlando did, man. I focused on the docks. And every dock, it was weird because when the water gets low, you can't pull your boat out from that dock because it's so I was only in 2 to 4 foot. So they dig these channels out to every single dock, and it literally goes all the way to the main lake. So instead of fishing that little bitty channel and here's the reeds, I would fish the channel all the way to the guy's boat dock or the whoever's boat dock it was. And every time I would get inside that channel, I would find a lily pad and I would put that my I almost said Torpedo, my Newport vessel motor on like 20%, and just humming them as many casts as I possibly could. And within 15 minutes, I had a limit of 14s and 16s. So it went really quick. Every time I would catch a fish, I would yell to the top of my lungs, just screaming and shouting. And I can't, like I said, I can't tell you how many times I was praying to our Heavenly Father and just to help me find these fish. Just, God, this is all I'm asking. Like, this is the biggest tournament that I've ever experienced or been a part of. Please help me at least do good, And it would seem like after I would say a prayer or say a prayer of gratitude, like he would just automatically, I would catch fish. Like it was the weirdest thing I've ever experienced. And, it was cool, man. And so I ended up getting a limit, and then I saw the drone flying over my head and started fishing really good. The wind started to pick up. We had about a 7 mile per hour east facing wind, or coming from the wind, coming from the east. And what I had found was the more the sun came up, the more these fish would literally push out from that channel going to the docks, and they would go to those big set of reeds. So if you would find lilies or anything out in these reeds, it would make, the wind was blowing so hard, it would make like a channel going into the reeds. And these fish were literally stacked up on every single lily pad, and the wind, you could see like it would literally look like a mini river channel. And I would get back on the backside, I would like sneak around, and literally every single cast, I would catch a fish. It was insane. Because on day one, I actually found this spot at the end of the day, right before I decided to get off the water early. And I'm throwing my chatterbait, and all of a sudden, this was so hard for me too. And I kind of regret it too, because I didn't catch this girl on day 2. But I would say 2 7 to 8 pounders are coming in, and my jackhammer, both one on each side, and my jackhammer is literally right in front of them. And I freaked out, jerked the jackhammer out of the water, and just got out of there and said, I'm saving you for tomorrow, because I didn't know how many fish would be there. And I went to that spot at the end of the day, and they weren't there, but I ended up slowly culling fish. I caught a 5, I caught a 19, I caught another 18 and a half and a 17. So I had decent bag. I didn't have nothing huge. I think I ended with, I want to say 89 inches or right at 90 again, actually. So it was pretty close to the same day as I had the day before.
So what was your total bag for 2 days?
Can I look that up for you?
Yeah, of course.
That's a good thing about Fishing Chaos. I love Tony X. Dwayne is absolutely amazing. But with Fishing Chaos, you can go back and look at literally every tournament you've ever fished. So my total, I had to have 90 because my total was 180.5. So day one I had 90.75, and day 2 I had 89.75. And then Jimmy McClurkin was right below me with 169.
Wow. So now that you've won money, side money apart, you won the 10, you won, but you got second place on Toledo Bend.
Yeah.
What has been your favorite trail? So you did all 3 trails. That's not counting. Obviously, the Bass Nation Kayak Series was not, wasn't good for fishing.
Yeah.
But as far as being organized and the logistic behind how each trail was run, which one did you, kind of put you on the spot here, which one did you enjoy more? Just the organization part of it, not the fishing part of it, because that's just really depending on how it goes. But how did KBF organize Bass Nation and Hobie BOS?
No, for sure, man. You're just gonna drop the bomb on me, huh? I don't know if I could pick a favorite between both of them. KBF and Hobie, 100% blow Bass out of the water. Bass isn't even a competitor with these two. From what Chad and what AJ do for us is unbelievable. I will say there was a bigger turnout for Hobie. I felt like things were a little bit bigger on the stage. I felt like there were a little bit more things. But at the same time, the KBF 10 house was the most unbelievable thing I've ever experienced in my life. Like, dinner was made for us. breakfast was made, our lunch that we picked up out of the house and went on the water with, our sandwiches and our burritos were made for us. Everything was top notch. Like, I can't even express, like, I don't think nothing compares to the Tin House. I'll say that straightforward. But like, if we're talking tournament trails on that, KVF and Hobie are just phenomenal. I feel like Hobie is on a little bit different of a level. I
Yep.
feel like they're like a really, really elite series. And I think Chad's trying to come out with the pro series,
Yep.
and upgrade those series to get him an elite series kayak tournament trail.
Yep.
So I think as we speak right now, Hobie is maybe a step above.
Yep.
This is their fifth year or third year. I don't know exactly, but someone will correct me for sure. But I mean, they've been doing this a while, man. And to have a 200 angler event sold out in the next two tournaments are sold out. I got like
Yep.
7 alarms on my phone for Broken Bow because
Yeah.
I don't. If I
Same
miss
here.
that, oh, dude, I'm gonna be upset. So I don't know, man. I really do feel like in the Hobie, they are like they're up there. They're with the
Yep.
pros. I've had 3 news articles call me. Hobie's reached out to me. Like they're running a page on like getting all pictures from me. Like it's just super cool. But same time, Chad deserves a ton of credit too, man. What they've done for us is unreal, and how far KBF has came. I feel like a lot of people had a bad taste in their mouth for KBF. Well, they're stupid because they don't know what they're missing out, man. It's just an absolutely amazing group of guys. Chad, his team, everyone is doing everything they can for us, and we need to do better as anglers and show up. Just because I won the KBF 10, DZ the 10, Chad threw in 2 more tournament trails out west, just spur of the moment to give. He's like, I think there's so much talent hidden out there.
Yep.
And especially in California, dude, there's some freaking sticks out there, and a lot of them don't travel the world.
Yeah, no, and it's I kind of understand not traveling out of California to other trails because it's an investment, especially with gas
Oh,
prices now.
dude,
But yeah,
it's a
California needs to
huge investment.
yeah, California needs to show up when the national trail comes to California though.
You're right.
Yeah,
They do.
you can't complain about not having national tour when only 50 show up when you do, and then
You're right.
like 10 of them are people from not from California that actually traveled
Yeah, we
to
had 10
California.
from Utah when
Yeah,
Hobie came out there.
yeah,
I'm like, why aren't y'all coming out west? I'm like, well, dude, if you have 200 anglers showing up everywhere else in the world, why are you going to freaking go back to California and have
yeah,
50 people show up? You're like, oh, well, guys, we just wanted to show you some love since you've showed us so much love.
yeah. No, I agree with that. But yeah, man, I fished the KBF trail in Trinity River, and I thought it was pretty cool. We had a very nice dinner at a Mexican restaurant. I mean, like two drinks included, and actually
Yeah,
alcoholic drinks,
yeah,
if I wanted to. And nothing was. You had one plate, and nothing was off the menu. You could have had the most expensive or the cheapest plate that you wanted.
yeah.
So I was pretty impressed with that. And again, like I agree with you. I think the Hobie BOS is a little step notch above everything else right now.
Yeah.
It's different. I'm in the theory that I think each organization is in it for different reasons. Like Hobie BOS, it's Hobie brand, and it's their way of kind of legitimizing their status as the best kayak fishing product out there. So
No, you're right.
they're not interested. Not that they're not interested, but their focus is not that let's make money out of the Hobie BOS. They're like, we just want to, and I don't have facts here, and I don't have numbers. My feeling is that they're more like they're happy to just break even as long as they're losing money because it's just building their brand up. It's
Oh,
kind of
you're
like giving
you're
giving
exactly
publicity
right.
without having to pay for it and actually
You're
making some money of it.
it's like marketplace,
Yeah.
like it's literally advertisement across the entire world. So they do a phenomenal job. Like I've literally had almost 3 to 4 people reach out to me like, hey, can you give me a rundown of your story and send me all your pictures? We'd love to get you in our magazine. I'm like, yeah, you dang right I will. What you want?
Yeah, and also one thing that I think it comes underrated is the fact that the BOS Trail has a reputation for being such a great product, people that fish it are gonna be okay. Well, if the brand Hobie is in it, if Hobie BOS Trail is such a great product, then their kayaks are gonna be a pretty. It gives that
No, you're right.
legitimacy, that reputation that this is the best product out there, both in the trail and in our kayaks. That's just my opinion. Now, I could be wrong. Now, Bassmaster is in it to actually make money. Like
Yeah.
literally, they're like, yeah, our job is not to build a brand, it's to actually host events and make
Yep.
money out of it. So it's different logistics. But I
You're
think
right. And that's
that's
why they're having the outcome that they're having.
yeah. But I mean, hopefully they'll. In my opinion, I want to say outspoken, but I've shared my opinion on things that I like and I don't like about each trail.
Yeah.
That is feel like it's my responsibility to magnify the voice of the kayak anglers
Yeah.
on my podcast. But at
Especially
the
with all
same
the
time,
people that follow you. Right.
yeah.
So I
And
think that's cool.
but it's not hate, it's not like I want KBF or Hobie BOS or Bass Nation or even the All American Kayak Series, which is in the top four. Obviously, that's another national event that's
What is that
taking
one?
shape. The All American Kayak Series,
Yeah, where is
they're
that?
they're pretty much in the central Midwest. They're coming to Texas for Lake Palestine this weekend, but they're mostly Wisconsin, Arkansas, Missouri area, which is a
Dude, I
little
haven't
farther
even
from
heard
me.
about them.
Yeah, All American Kayak Series, and I haven't heard anything negative about it too.
Oh,
And I
wow.
think this is their second season,
Do
so
they
that's
allow
another.
motors?
I don't know. I don't know. I want to say they do, but I really don't know.
I'll have to look that up, man. I'm looking for a few
No,
more to fit in my schedule this year.
no. There you go. I mean, the way you're winning money, you might as well.
I hope it continues, man. I hope it wasn't just some freak accident.
Well, I mean, when we fish, sometimes it's more expensive, but when you win, it's actually in your case, it's actually more income.
No,
But yeah,
this is probably the most that I've made fishing probably all together of the last 2 years, and probably what more than my company's made starting up. So yeah, man, it's been really good.
in 3 weeks.
Yep.
That's crazy. Well, congratulations on that.
Thanks so
But yeah,
much,
man,
man.
excited to see. And again, I want every single trail, whether national, local, to succeed. But part of it is in a respectful manner, pointing out what they could be doing better. And I think that's just a
Right.
responsibility. People a lot of times like, well, why do we have to talk about this? What do we have like the sense of being constructive criticism, giving opinions? I think it's okay. Now, if you're gonna judge somebody's character based on what they're doing on a trail or insult, then that's a different matter. But I
Yeah,
think it's important to say we can't always pat people on the back for doing a mediocre job. Otherwise, nothing
that's
gets
right.
fixed. Uh,
And we all need constructive criticism, man. I don't care who you are, who you think you are. We all need it. We all need change and we all need help, you know?
Very true. And if you can't stand criticism, you're in the wrong line.
That's right.
Because everybody will nitpick everything you do on your videos on Instagram and all that.
Everything.
Everything. But man, Cody, congratulations. Again, Hobie BOS, the KBF. I know Bass Nation or Bassmaster Kayak Series wasn't the result that you wanted, but you
Mm,
still fished it. And you did the best you could. Tough conditions. Like we said, only 3 people caught a 2-day limit on that event. So,
but they slayed them.
oh my God, yeah. Like there was talk about being top heavy. Like,
Yeah.
what was it? The winning
Holy
was
cow.
203.
Yep.
203.
It was like
I was
200
like,
something
couldn't believe it.
inches.
I would have thought, not um as far as total numbers to win, I would have thought it would have been flip side. I would have thought Toledo would have taken 200 plus inches to
Yeah.
win. And considering, well, before we knew that the win was going to be that bad, that kind of made a little bit more sense after the fact. But if it wasn't for that, I would have thought, knowing what we knew was happening on Lake Fork the week following before the tournament, I would have thought 170 inches would have won Toledo. I mean, would have won Fork,
Fork.
and 200 inches would have won Toledo. It was actually flip side.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking too. I was thinking like Fork's going to be like 180, 185. And then just because the cold front was there, we were in the middle of it. And then Toledo, I was like, it's going to easily take 97, 100 inches each day, And then whenever it finished, and I had people message me, say, "Oh, hey, you're sitting in fifth, only about an inch." I'm like, huh? Like, sweet.
A lot of spotted bass too, man. I've caught a
You caught
ton of
spot? You caught a lot of spots?
I caught a lot. Well, I didn't catch a lot of fish, but the fish that I caught pre-fishing and on tournament, um, I caught a lot more spotted bass than I did
Really?
largemouth bass.
I don't even think there was a single spot up that river where I was at.
Yeah, maybe not the river. Main Lake, I think a
Yeah.
lot of people caught spotted. And I think that kind of explains why there were so many 70 and 60
Yeah, smaller
plus
bags.
because obviously spotted bass are not going to grow as big as largemouth bass. So
Yeah.
kind of explain it. But yeah, it was chock full of spotted bass where I was.
Yeah.
But Cody, before I let you go, man, I've had you over for 45 minutes now. Quick shout out. Where can people follow you on Instagram, social media, if you want them to follow you?
Oh,
I
yeah,
know you
absolutely.
have your own custom lures bait. Feel free to plug them in. Any jack rods, anybody else you want to thank, go ahead, take your time.
Okay. No, if anyone does want to follow me, my Instagram, my handle is Henley Custom Lures. It's just Agnley custom, obviously, and then Lures. And my name's under that too. So I'm pretty sure you can type Cody Henley and you can see all that as well. So same, Facebook is a little different. My Facebook, and whatever I post on Instagram, I usually it automatically goes to Facebook. I do have my company on the backside of my thing called Henley Custom Lures. And but that's really it. My Instagram, I don't really do the TikTok thing. I just started a YouTube. That's a lot harder than you think it is. Everyone
Yeah.
is thinking about it. Holy cow, I'm struggling. I have over 15 videos. I'm just going to delete some of them. It's too much, but it's just Cody Henley. I just named it Cody Henley, and be easier for some people to find if my name ever does get around. But I definitely have to thank all my sponsors, man. Without them, I wouldn't even have a rod or reel to fish with. They have done so much for me. I wrote them down this time for anyone that I forgot. But always Yak rods. Literally, if you haven't tried them, like, get on their website, check it out. Like, you need to at least try their specialty rods. It's called the X Chatter or the Feast. Both of them are literally specially designed. They have, I think it's a 10-inch handle, so it's a little bit shorter than typical, but not as short as their black line or their foundation line. And you can use Henley 10 with no space at all, just Henley, and then not the letter, but the number 10. And that'll save you 10%. Not much, but it definitely adds up when you start actually paying for everything. I think that with the discount is only like $245. I have 4 of them. They are the best rod in the world, and they are designed with the best products that you can possibly get across anywhere. I mean, all their graphite rods are made with like 40 ton, like the best that you can get. They're the most sensitive rods I've ever used. 13 fishing, hands down the best reels that I've ever used. I used to be a huge hyper mag guy. And I was like, there's no way nothing's going to compare to a hyper mag. And reached out to them, talked to them. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give them a shot. And loved them. Absolutely love them. My favorite is the TX2. But all of them are really phenomenal. Their hard baits are sick too. Holy cow. That what's that hybrid? The one that's got a jackhammer? The Jabberjaw. I don't know if anyone's ever tried that, but that thing's pretty sick. Dakota Lithium, literally no questions asked to me. Like, I did 27 miles on my Newport vessels one day and literally still had 27% battery when I got home. And I don't think, like, even a couple of my buddies ran out of batteries at 19 to 20 miles. It was just unreal what Dakota Lithium and how they take care of us and what they do for us. Kayak Cushion, hands down. I don't have to tell anybody about that. If you don't have one, you're missing out, and your back's missing out. I have a really bad back, and I still have a really bad back, but it has helped me so much on the water and be able to sit there all day long for 10 to 12 hours. P-line, no questions asked. P-line, best for me. Best, I think the best in the world. I swapped for a while. I tried Seagar. I tried. There's a new one, Sunline, and don't get me
Mhm.
wrong, they're really good lines. All of them are really good lines when you get up in that high dollar line. But I had so many fish break off, so many boat flips where I'd literally go to, and I'm a boat flipping freak, and I'm not a netter. I just can't figure the net thing out, dude. I suck at netting fish. And I just swapped back to P line this year, and oh man, I'm so impressed. A lot of people complain about the memory. It does have memory, but with memory comes strength, and that's why they're ranked number one strength line on the market. I mean, literally, all you have to do if you get any memory, run out to a tree, hook your lure up on a tree or a fence, go out and stretch your line for as tight as you can. It pulls all that memory out. I'd literally
Mhm.
just learned that not long ago from a guy named Adam McCluskey, one of my really, really good friends that we travel the world. Battle baits. We talked about battle baits last night. This dude is just absolutely phenomenal with his jigs. I'm more impressed with the spinners than I've ever been impressed with anything, especially the way his
Mhm.
head and his mold, his design. It's almost designed like Sixth Sense, and it's shaped like that, except he doesn't use no rubber band. He literally everything is hand tied with just amazing stuff, man. He's got some new cool underspins that y'all have to check out. Uh, Literally, run. It's a little eyelet,
Mhm.
and you put two keepers in front of it, and it's got a spinner on it, like as far from the distance as you want from your line in front of your hook, and you can just throw a normal EWG hook on it, and your swim bait action triples. Instead of it just swimming and kicking, literally the whole body
Mhm.
rotates, and it's got so many more bites for me. Rogue Fishing, like I said, I just jumped on board with them. They have some of the best tethering tools possible for your phone. Anything you want, man. They have all the tethers you need. They have also like clothes and hats and stuff like that. Uh, and of course, my freaking motor is unreal. The Newport vessels, like I was gonna get the Torpedo, and I just I'm not going to say anything bad about Torpedo, but it was just a lot of weight going on the back of my kayak, and I'm already so heavy back there. So I just decided to go a different route and join their team, and I am so impressed. When that thing showed up, it was a little bit smaller, like half the size of the Torpedo. I'm like, this thing isn't even going to move me. That son of a gun will push that boat at 5.1, 5.2 miles an hour all
Nice.
day long. And of course, Yak Attack, man, they've helped me out so much in so many different situations. So but I think that's it, man. I couldn't do any of this without them, and of course, God up above, man. He's
Amen.
like I can't remember who that was that said he's every one of our sponsors. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
Chad or G Money G Guillermo said that.
Yeah.
So I thought that
Sounds
was
like
cool.
something Guillermo said. I know he's
Yeah, I thought that was super
yeah.
cool, man. I stole it from him.
Yeah. Definitely a great ambassador to the sport, Guillermo, as well. Man, congratulations on your sponsors. You've really earned it. What you do on and off the water. And again, thank you for the opportunity talking again and telling us about your success on the 10. We look forward to seeing what you do on the water, and best of luck moving forward, man.
I appreciate it, man. Hopefully, I'll see you again pretty soon.
So hopefully, just hopefully I won't come last this time, but I'll be share the stage with
You're
you.
a hey, yes, sir.
All right. Well, for those out there listening, thank you so much for tuning into the Bass Kayak and Beers. Thanks you again for our sponsor, Douglas Watt. Go check out douglasoutdoors.com to find out about their full lineup of LRS, X Matrix, and fly fishing rods. And if you're going to be on the water, wear your PFDs. Take care, everyone. Have a great day.